Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this new GeneXus webinar, BPM in Times of Pandemic by Eugenio Garcia. Eugenio Garcia is computer engineer, graduated from the Faculty of Engineering of Universidad de la República in Uruguay. He is product manager of GeneXus for SAP. He participated in the design and development of products that complement the suite of tools around GeneXus. In his more than 18 years of experience in computing technology, he has participated in various conferences at various events in the GeneXus community, has taught courses in these technologies, and has collaborated as a consultant on different projects in countries such as Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay. At this time, I now present to you Eugenio Garcia.
Well, thank you, Jaime. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for your time. Today, I would like to tell you a story in which I was involved during this pandemic generated by COVID-19. And my goal is to share some lessons learned during the development of a mission-critical project in which the urgency of achieve results require us to make quick decisions and then build a whole new system in just a few days. One of the elements that helped us to accomplish this was to think in terms of processes and to apply business process management practice and technologies. In Uruguay, COVID-19 cases were first confirmed on Friday 13 in March. I will surely remember this day because on Saturday we met at GeneXus office to discuss how we could use technology to collaborate in addressing clinical case management and follow-up, which will be critical to prevent the healthcare system from collapsing. That same day, we worked a lot on a prototype that we introduced to the government representative the following day, on Sunday. They saw that we have the necessary drive, the capacity and tools to develop an application that would decentralize the contact with the population and help in managing all these contacts. So, with the objective of preventing the collapse of the healthcare system in mind, many GeneXus team members volunteered to work on this project, along with private companies that join us, in addition to the teams from Uruguay's Ministry of Public Health, and also the Agency for Electronic Government, the state-run organization which seeks to improve the relationship of citizens with the public sector. To this end, we have to offer an alternative to call centers that will decentralize healthcare service to the public and allow for exhaustive contact tracing through a well-defined process in which all the actors in country's health system will participate. Our strategy was to carry out in parallel on several fronts, okay, with the aim of offering different communication channels where people who had symptoms or had traveled to countries where the virus was present or had been in contact with a confirmed case of COVID-19 could be contacted. Complete a questionnaire designed by the epidemiology team of the Ministry of Health, and thus remain in touch with their healthcare provider. This was the strategy for centralizing contacts and at the same time reducing the demand in the healthcare provider's call center. Well, we work a lot in the first month and maybe also in the second month after the pandemic started. And in the first 5 days, we managed to publish the application in the Google and Apple Store, the applications to receive all these contacts, in addition to the chatbot on the Health Ministry website, a web version of the same native application, and also registration channels through WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. At the same time, we designed, prototyped, and developed a backend system that would allow healthcare providers to receive all these contacts and trace them through a workflow process defined from scratch. Well, the question is, how did we do it? And for me, one of the first decision we made over the weekend when it all started was whether to use process modeling for contact management. At first, we thought it was a simple and a very linear process, and so it was probably like killing a mosquito with a gun, as we say here in Uruguay, put it not in so technical way. We knew we need the agility and the ability to reuse all the tools that we had at hand, so we didn't end up reinventing things. Even if the process to be modeled and implemented was quite simple, if we did it by hand, we would have to develop the state management, process traceability, um, and all the coordinations to distribute tasks among several users with different roles, all of which could change from one moment to the next as reality showed us. We definitely had to focus on using process modeling practice to define the flow of content management carried out by provider. Okay, because this helped us a lot to interchange with no technical people. Well, the design of this process. 2 days later, when we started that weekend, we had a prototype of what this flow could look like, which at first seems very simple, as you can see. This is the real one. For that is in Spanish. But when we first met with the Agency of Electronic Government team, we saw that the reality was not so simple, and there were different states and conditions that could occur based on the work done by the epidemiology team. Okay, at this point, we realized that we had made a good decision to focus on use business process management practice for process modeling. And after more than 40 iterations, in less than 10 days, we managed to implement the contact management process and coordination of testing for COVID-19. Okay, this process is used by the country's entire healthcare system to manage all the contacts resulting from the different channels enabled for the population to schedule a clinical consultation with their healthcare provider, and even to schedule a test to detect whether they are infected with COVID-19. During the system's first month of operation, almost 1 million contacts were generated. Based on the risk calculation made according to the epidemiological questionnaires used, more than almost 40,000 cases had been managed through this same process by all providers of Uruguayan healthcare system. And today, I remember that maybe are, I don't know, 150,000 cases that were managed using this process. No, 4 months from that day that we started with the COVID-19 cases here in Uruguay. To do that, three people worked simultaneously, three developers on the development related to the healthcare provider management process. Okay, one focused on the features of this simplified inbox for healthcare providers. We built this from scratch using our API. okay, our workflow engine API. And the idea was to make a very simple interface for the medical team to manage all the contacts and to prioritize them with different filters in this UI. The same developer, another developer, sorry, worked focus on the panel associated in each task of this process. Okay, all the information that we have to put here for the medical team, and also the same developer worked in the in building these dashboards to give real-time information to manage all the tasks and to see all the contacts in a global manner. Okay, these are the main performance indicators about managing all these cases. Also, another one worked on the clinical inbox from which all the contacts are followed up. Here, cases are prioritized according to the rules defined by the epidemiology team for the calculation of risk based on people's symptoms, conditions, and comorbidities. Okay, for example, if someone has, I don't know, maybe diabetes or some another health issue, and the category in which they were classified after answering the epidemiological questionnaire through the different channel, okay, using the mobile apps or the chatbot. After the first 2 weeks, two developers remain in charge of developing improvement in later version that were released almost every week after that. Okay, the last release that we made was last week. Both the states and the actions performed from the flow managed by the provider are reflected in this clinical follow-up inbox, and the same happens if actions are performed from here. Okay, these two inbox work in an integrated manner with the changes of status that the medical team can make in the different cases. Another interesting feature that we add to this system is the telemedicine. Okay, user of the mobile application can make a remote consultation with a doctor. Then from the clinical follow-up inbox, the medical team can call people and make remote consultation, which provide great agility in addition to avoiding contact of medical staff with people likely to be infected. And another important milestone was integration with the National Electronic Healthcare Record System. Okay, this system is in production, I don't know, many years ago here in Uruguay, and all the healthcare providers are integrated in this message bus. Basically, we integrated into this message bus where healthcare providers report events such as a hospital admission or discharge, the registration of a new person in relation to COVID-19, the discharge of a new person from the records, changes in status related to the follow-up of their cases for COVID-19, and data on the test results, okay? And all these notifications impacts the state of the management flow of the providers and the different state that we recorded for a person in our system, okay? We in turn send notifications from our system to that message bus, okay? Then, as a result of this project, a system has been developed and implemented that allows the healthcare providers to manage case individually in an integrated manner with their system, allowing them to quickly communicate with people who may be showing symptoms or who have been in contact with other infected people. And as you can imagine, the application in the Apple and Google Store are the tip of the iceberg of a comprehensive system for managing pandemics. Okay, right now, the last version of the application for Apple and Google, we incorporate we were the first country in America, Latin and North America, to incorporate the feature of alert exposure or notification. Okay, uh, I think that there have been obvious benefits in practice, as the system has helped to decentralize the public's care. It also offers them a direct channel of communication with their healthcare providers, and the possibility of entering their symptoms to provide more information to medical team, in addition to being able to make remote consultations. From the healthcare provider's perspective, the healthcare providers have an inbox that unify all the contacts and the follow-up of clinical cases. They also have real time to organize their work and people's care. In addition, they can arrange for tests to be carried out and make remote consultation. The government gains an important asset with the system because it is designed for use in other type of pandemics and has been integrated into the national electronic health record system. As you can see or imagine, this was not a typical project, okay, where we could plan each stage and clearly define a scope, okay. Without a doubt, the motivation of all of us who participated had a great influence in making everything work. We were convinced that we could provide tools and would help avoid a collapse of the health system. And both the private company and the public organization that joined us worked in a spirit of trust and respect, which made it possible to accomplish so much in such a short time. And to do that, well, we use all the tools that we have in our GeneXus business process management suite. And this was a very helpful factor, okay, that we can use all the tools available and thus reinventing things which would have taken a long time. Without a doubt, in those early days, modeling the flow with the process modeler helped us to communicate with non-technical people. Using GeneXus server to integrate the changes made by all those who were working on the project was fundamental. Okay, GeneXus server is our code repository and the tool to work in a team. Because at one point we were more than 30 people simultaneously developing different modules based on the same data model that was changing all the time. Okay, the first 2 weeks, this data model that we created from scratch for this system was evolving every day, every hour. Okay, then the agility provided by GeneXus to make changes in the data model and impact them on the physical model at the database level help us a lot. Okay, this in addition to using the capability of exposing REST services and consuming service to integrate external APIs into the system. Another factor is having a workflow engine and an API to perform all possible actions on the engine, allowed us to build our own inbox in a short time from scratch. We also, of course, use the administration tools offered by GXFlow out-of-the-box interface to manage processes and view each case history, or for example, to in some cases to reassign tasks when necessary, or view general statistics on how contacts were being processed through the defined workflow. And we also took advantage of the dashboards offered by GeneXus to see the main indicators at the level of task and process. But we also built another customized one using the power given by the query and dashboard object in GeneXus to obtain real-time data about the contacts that were being processed. To this combination of tools, we must add integration and continuous deployment processes that allow us to quickly integrate development changes in test environment where test teams were performing their functional and performance tests. And to do that, we use Jenkins. Okay, we define different pipelines in Jenkins, not only to build all the changes that are integrated in our GeneXus server repository, but also we integrated unit tests in the pipelines, okay, uh, on all the tasks to deploy the different deployment units, because here we have the mobile the mobile services, the web application, the front end web application, the back office web application. I don't know, another service APIs to integrate with the electronic, the historical, the clinic historical system. Many deployment units that were automated using Jenkins. Okay, I think that we often underestimate process-oriented development and believe that it can hinder us more than it will help us. Okay, but we need to consider everything we gain and by doing this, and especially what is saved in programming work. Okay, the more we represent in the process models, the less programming work we will be required to build the system, and the easier it will be to adapt and maintain. We made more than 40 iterations in 10 days, okay, to finish this workflow. And this was possible. Thank you. Thanks to the agility in changing things in the model using BPMN, okay, the standard of the business process management notation. Well, this was in a brief manner the story that I want to tell to tell you today. To finish, I want to share some thought about Colonel John Boyd. Colonel John Boyd transformed the way the pilots are trained in the U.S. Air Force, and also he helped design the most successful warplanes in the U.S. Air Force. And one of the principles of the strategy that he teached to the pilot was that the fastest to adapt to the changes will survive. Okay, and I think that as a team, we as a team that create tools to develop systems, we were able to use this tool in a mission critical project with the degree of urgency demanded by this pandemic. Okay, something that can be highlighted is that our agility and ability to adapt to change was a key factor in making this happen. And that's all. My idea was to tell a different story about the use of our technology in a real project that was motivated for this pandemic. Right now, we are open to question. Jaime?
you a lot for that presentation. Wait
You
for let's wait for our uh, audience to raise questions. I think we have one already from Nabil, which we can post. Let's see. So we have a. I'll read the question out, Eugenio. Nabil, thank you for your question. Thanks for attending the webinar. It says it is noted that artificial intelligence has not been used, especially since there are many common health questions as well as common answers. So he wants to find out, Eugenio, about artificial intelligence in this project.
No, we don't use artificial intelligence in this project because it is impossible if you don't have a proper model with proper data to use this kind of for example, of model to categorize information in such a short time. Okay, we published the first version of the mobile application in the Apple and Google Store in 5 days. Okay, and in these 5 days, the epidemiological team gave us all the questionnaires that we publish in the application, but we don't have all the we don't have the time and most importantly the data, okay, to model a new artificial intelligence artificial network, okay, to process all this information. In this case, was more like the old traditional rule-based AI, okay, because we have different questionnaires, and these questionnaires, depending on the answers, classify the people in different categories, okay, and this was made by like a rule engine without the use of artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Eugenio, for your answer. So while we wait for another question, remember you can post your questions on the chat that you will find on your right. So feel free to ask any questions you want to raise to Eugenio. Remember, Eugenio was involved since day one in the development of this application, which has been so successful in Uruguay. Currently, Uruguay is beating COVID-19. We have very few cases in Uruguay, very few deaths. We've never been into a compulsory lockdown. And part of the success has been related to the use of technology in the fight against coronavirus. So please take this opportunity to ask the questions directly to someone who was since day one involved in the programming of this software solution to help the health system and everyone in Uruguay. Eugenio, do you think this is also applicable to other countries? Can this be replicated abroad?
Yes. The system that we designed has a general metadata to apply in different kind of pandemics. Okay, it's very parameterized system. Then you can implement the same idea in different countries. Okay, I think Nabil has another question, no?
Let me check. Yes, we have another question from Nabil. Let's post it. Thank you, Nabil, again for the question. I'll read it out. Have you used a personal identification or card number to use the application so that the user's identity is recognized directly and the health history is known?
Yes, yes. We use the national identity ID. Okay, when you use the application, you have to put your identification number, and in that way, we can match this user with the healthcare provider. Okay, but in the first step of this workflow process, the healthcare provider has to validate if the user has the right to be to be attended by this healthcare provider. If not, the healthcare provider can return to the Ministry of Health the case. Okay, in this case, the team of the Ministry of Health has to decide well which provider has to attend this case. Okay, all the system is based on this ID. Okay, and also we allow to foreign people living here in Uruguay to register the content. Okay, in this case, you must to declare that you are foreign people and your passport number.
Good. So foreigners in Uruguay could also use the application.
Yeah.
Great. Good. Let's wait a bit more for any other questions. Thanks, Nabil, again for your question. Let's see if anyone else wants to raise any questions to Eugenio. Don't be shy. In the meantime, Eugenio, I can ask you a question. You said that Uruguay was one of the first countries to implement the exposure notification, right?
Yeah.
Just for the general information, this does not work with geolocation. Is that correct?
Yeah, is that correct? The application used the Bluetooth of low range Bluetooth. Okay, that practically that doesn't affect the battery life. The idea is to interchange keys between the cell phones. That is made in our random keys that doesn't contain any information about you. Okay, and if here in Uruguay, the Ministry of Health has the information of all the positive cases. Then, if you want to have the result of your test, you have to use the application, and you are notified by the application if you are negative or positive for COVID-19. And if you are positive for COVID-19 and you had the exposure alerts enabled, you can make the decision to share your keys with the server, with the Ministry of Health, and then automatically in the server side, this send all your keys to all the other cell phones that are using the application. Okay, and in that way, all the people that were next to you, less than 2 meters from you, and more than 10 minutes, okay, that are the parameters, can receive a notification that were exposed to someone that was positive. Okay, and the only information that they have is that they were exposed in some day. Okay, but not the place, for example.
Correct. So the only information the other person gets is the date, but they do not know the name or the place where they were, right?
Yeah, right.
Good. So there is total privacy in that sense. And as you said, the keys are changing randomly. So also that that protects privacy.
Exactly.
Good. So, Eugenio, I think we have no more questions. So thank you a lot, Eugenio, for your excellent presentation on BPM and times of crisis. Thanks to everyone for your participation. Thanks, Nabil, for your questions. Remember that you can go to our GeneXus webinar site and you can relive the old webinars which you may have missed, or you can register for the upcoming ones. This recording will be available on our webinar site and also on our YouTube channel. Remember, all content is free and 100% online. We hope to see you next time. Please be safe. Thank you, Eugenio. Goodbye, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everyone.